A one, a two, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, horrible people. Welcome to Death by Podcast, the world's greatest horror podcast. I'm your host, Adam. That's your other host over there,
Gavin.
Welcome to the show, folks. Episode 71. Today, on the main show, we watched The Good Son, the Macaulay Culkin vehicle, Elijah Wood vehicle. I've never understood that. That's the most pretentious term for a movie.
Vehicle?
Like what? Shut up. 1993. But before we get to that, I wanted to share a couple things, Kevin. Number one, and I know you got some news, and we got a couple What'd You Watches. It's going to be a big show, folks. This is going to be a good one. They're all good, but this is going to be an extra good one. But I don't know if you noticed in our stories on Instagram, that's at Death by Podcast on Instagram. A couple nights ago, I posted a pizzazz.
I did see that
story. Did you see that? Dude, I got so many messages, even a few texts from people saying, like, just how expressing their love for the pizzazz. And it all
told you, man. It's
well, I mean, the pizzazz is a great device, and I thank you again for it. But I think it all goes back to the video that I made when you did give it to me.
Yeah.
And just how like we are personally responsible for probably a massive sales boost in pizzazzes back.
I don't know,
whenever
man.
that was late 2020 probably, or 2021.
I don't know that pizzazz, man. I've never met any. The two responses I've gotten when I bring up the pizzazz is, "What is that? I've never heard of this thing."
Yeah,
and it's changed my life. It's the best thing in the world,
dude.
There's no like.
It's great. I don't have a microwave. I would like to have a microwave. I just can't afford to. I know I don't have any.
Dude,
money,
I don't cook shit in the microwave.
Yeah,
like unless like I make like macaroni in the microwave.
Like the cup.
Like I can make it on the pizzazz. Yeah, like my kids. That's what my kids like to eat. Like if I can make it on the pizzazz, I do, and it makes it so much better. It makes it crispier. Yeah. It cooks it from the inside. Yeah. It doesn't. It's got the like double, one side's cold.
Yeah, it's got the double heat where it's like it spins on a heat thing, and then it's got the toast from the top. Toaster. Yeah. I don't have a toaster either, and I don't have my.
You don't need one. You have a fucking pizzazz.
And I literally blew up my air fryer. So all I had, the only appliance I have outside of my oven is the pizzazz. Dude, you can make. I mean, yeah, pizzas, it's what it's made for, which is great. And reheating, you said, you're spot on. Lou Malnati's, dude, Chicago deep dish, you put that on the pizzazz, it is brand new. Brand new!
I'm telling you, man.
You know, I cook eggs on it. I've cooked toast. I've cooked, you reheat anything on it. I've cooked all kinds of shit on it. It's crazy. Unfortunately, when I posted the thing, it was a bunch of Chinese food from Mariano's. That food was trash. There was no saving that food. Don't eat that stuff, man. It's disgusting. But it heated it properly. That was not the issue. So yeah, all you folks that enjoyed the pizzazz, I'll definitely be bringing some more of that heat to the Instagram. The other thing I wanted to share, Kevin, is, are you familiar with the toy line from the 80s called Manglores?
I don't think so, no.
So this was like, I don't know, I want to say 87-ish. It was like late 80s. And imagine, Stretch Armstrong?
Yeah.
Stretchy man. Imagine that, only he's like a plant-based Swamp Thing kind of looking guy.
Oh, I've seen this guy. Yeah.
And you stretch him, and the selling gimmick was that you could pull him apart, like rip his arm off. And the substance, the space age, like, I don't know what the fuck, rubbery, plasticky, weird, poisonous stuff that it was made out of. You could rip his arm off and then stick it back on, and it was like good as new. That's what they said. Well, that wasn't the case. You rip his arm off, you drop him on the carpet, and he gathers all the carpet stuff, and then he never sticks back together. But John Kent over at Toyfinity released a Glyos version of Manglore.
Oh, cool.
Glyos is like a peg and socket joint system.
Yeah, you did a video on them.
Yes.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So it's like I want to say he's a 5-inch figure. He's basically a 5 POA figure, but he's got like a few extra joints that are swivels. You can pull them apart. The cool thing is that with Glyos pegs in the system is it was made to like pull apart, but they're peg and socket. So it mimics that sort of 80s pull apart thing that they sold them on, only in a definitely like secure and better way. But the sculpt is amazing. It's a really cool, and it was a horror based line. That's why I brought it up. They were monsters and shit like that. So anyway, really cool stuff. Comes with some different pieces. I've been waiting for it for a while. I pre-ordered it like months and months ago. But I wanted to share that with folks. We've talked about toys before, haven't we? I don't know.
Yeah.
On the show. Ghostbusters things. And
yeah.
I'll post some pictures on the Patreon. I'll do that.
So
I'll pull them apart and post all that. That's patreon.com/deathbypodcast for anybody who's interested. Kevin, you had some news. What do you got for me?
Okay. One isn't really news. I mean, it kind of is,
right.
But it's a product or like a book that's coming out that actually got released, I think today.
Oh my.
That seems interesting. I think I'm gonna pick it up. I forget the title, but it's written by Tom Holland. It's basically like
Tom Holland, the horror guy,
the creator of
Spider-Man.
No, the creator of Chucky.
Gotcha.
He wrote a book, and it's about like behind the scenes of Child's Play. I think it's called like Child's Play, a retrospective, it's called Child's Play, a visual memoir.
Okay.
And it's just like a visual history book and it's just the fact it's written by him is pretty neat. I might pick this up.
That's awesome. I know you like books. You like reading words and stuff.
I like those visual, like I forget what the company that makes it. Insight Editions did 3 awesome ones in a row, and then now they make crap. But like they did a Ghostbusters visual history, a Back to the Future visual history, and I think they did the Ninja Turtle one too. And it like all 3 of them are like textbooks on each subject, and all of them are amazing. And then now they make garbage. They make like they made like I don't know, like they'll make a book of like Tobin's Spirit Guide or like
that would be awesome.
They make it.
You don't think that's cool?
No, because it's not real.
Well, but as long as it adhered to, I don't know, maybe if they had like Ivan Reitman help him write it before he passed, or I don't know. If there's,
they make it. I mean, but
way to make that cool.
That's a lot of the I don't know. I don't really like a lot of the like they have a Ghostbusters like membership like pack now, and it comes with like a bunch like a Ghostbusters membership card and shit. And I'm like, I'm not 9.
That's dumb.
Yeah, and it comes with a bunch of crap like that.
It's cool for a 9-year-old, but
yeah, exactly. But I'm not 9, and so I don't want it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just I don't know. I'm already buying. One of my favorite comedians. I was listening to his podcast, and he said something reminded me of you and me. And he said I was talking to. He said it was talking to a friend of his. He had just left. Like he collects a bunch. He collects toys and all the kind of shit we do. The guy goes, man, I think you might be depressed. And he's like, why do you say it? He goes, because you're holding a shopping bag full of G.I. Joes. Like,
yeah, man, that means you're fucking cool. That's what that means.
I mean, you can be cool and depressed.
Yeah,
but it was just like, yeah, man, that tracks.
You gave me this awesome idea, man. I'm going to see if I can do some research when I have extra time on Tobin's Spirit Guide and see if there's any like fan fiction from the 80s, or 90s, so that it's not this newer bullshit, and try to put together a Tobin's Spirit Guide. I think that would be awesome. Like make my own.
You check out the one they put out. I mean, I don't know. I've never cracked it open, but it.
Yeah, but I don't want, if it's bogus, I don't want to be influenced by bogusness. I'd rather like, the only problem is I don't want to do it and then all of a sudden realize I put together like a Necronomicon and get all demons and shit like that. So I'll have to be careful about it. But that's cool. That's really cool, dude. Don't forget, we need to do Chucky the series.
Yeah, I've been really, really. I know
I,
they're the
I
season
haven't
two
finished
too,
the
right?
newest season, so maybe that's something we can plan for. Maybe there's like a date coming up that's whatever, but
It's the same every time I go to like, all right, I'm gonna do it, but I want to do a rewatch of the whole series, and
yeah,
I
you
always get
definitely
to
need to
four, and I'm like,
you definitely need to get those last two or whatever movies in with the newer cast um to because they're all in the show. The show is just so good, man. It's really good.
man, but that's the thing. Like once I get that, I hate four, and I've
Yeah.
tried, but Bride of Chucky, I've tried
Yeah.
so many
Don't
times
watch
to
those.
be
Just
like
watch the ones where what's his name? God, I can't remember. Forgot his name.
Andy,
No, but the actor. What's the actor that plays Chucky?
Brad Dourif.
Brad Dourif. Okay, just watch the two movies that have Brad Dourif's daughter playing. She's the star of the movies. I forget her name. Serena Dourif, maybe, or something like that.
Are those the two newest movies?
Yeah, not including the reboot thing. Um, I'm pretty sure they're the two newest ones, and they're great movies. And then they flow right into the series with the new Andy, with her, everything. So
Okay, because
Jennifer
I
Tilly.
remember, yeah, I really don't like four, and then I remember Seed was like unwatchable,
No,
and I've never
don't
even
watch
tried
that.
to go
Yeah,
back and
it's
watch Seed.
garbage. Don't watch those. Just skip, and go to the other two.
All
Um, you got another news? What was the other one?
right. This is kind of neat. No new. They're doing a cliffhanger reboot with Sylvester Stallone,
Are you
where he's gonna,
serious?
yeah, he's gonna reprise the role.
So it's a
Uh,
sequel. Yeah.
I assume. I
All right.
mean,
I'll do that.
but yeah, I mean, I
Give me
like
some
that movie.
give me some old Sylvester. I think that's code for like wiener or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Give
I
me some.
saw it in theaters, man, and I remember being like, the opening scene, like where he drops the chick.
Yeah.
Like I remember being genuinely aghast.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I was probably, well, it's 30 years old, so it's probably, whatever. I was, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
probably 11,
7.
and
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, I was fucking. I remember just being shocked that happened. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That's cool, man. Good for him. Like Schwarzenegger, we've all been waiting for him to go play King Conan again, like, or not again, but to play King Conan for the first time, like they teased at the end of those movies. He hasn't
yeah,
done jack. Here's Sylvester Stallone still doing stuff. So, staying relevant. That's cool.
yeah, yeah.
Cliffhanger. He's
It's
like 75 years old hanging off a cliff.
it's cool. He's doing all of his, he's going back. Maybe he'll
Oh.
do Stop or My Mom Will Shoot again. Or
Ah,
I liked his Judge Dredd. I tell you
yeah.
what, I like the new Judge Dredd movies, or the new Judge Dredd movie,
Yeah.
but I prefer the Sylvester Stallone suit. Like,
Okay. Okay.
the Carl Urban helmet looks so weird to me. It just looks off.
Yeah.
Like
The Sylvester Stallone one is almost identical to the comic book.
yeah, and like
Simon Beasley.
he's got the chin for it. Like
Yeah.
it just, it's perfect.
Yeah. I get that. Cool. I'm down with that. What's the Wesley Snipes movie? Sylvester Stallone?
No, Demolition Man.
That's what we need to revisit because now Wesley Snipes is back. He's back, from
Is
jail.
he?
Yeah, oh yeah, he's doing stuff. Dude, have you not seen his comic that's out?
No.
Oh, I forget the name of it, but he's basically just a dude with a bunch of guns and sci-fi, whatever. But all the variant covers for it have been homages to uh great sci-fi movies, Terminator, whatever, Blade, all this stuff. And he's just like all in. The character looks exactly like him. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I love Wesley Snipes, man. I love Major League. I love
It's
Blade.
awesome, man. Always bet on black.
He
I always do.
he man. You ever hear that story about when he was shooting Blade 3 and
Oh
he
yeah,
wouldn't
the ending.
No. And when he wouldn't open his eyes.
Yeah, that's the ending.
Oh, that is the ending. Okay,
You can see there's there's director's cuts, and you can see on YouTube him like a child petulantly pushing against opening his eyes for the director. You know,
yeah.
laying there refusing. Like he's in the scene. He's laying on the table and he won't open his eyes. So they had to CGI it and
They
then put
CGI'd his eyes and it
actor
looks
in.
insane.
It looks insane. Yeah. Dude, he's good for him. He's awesome. He's insane. But cool, man. All right. You said you had a what'd you watch? So I don't know if I said this at the top of the show. We'll save it for after yours. What's your what'd you watch?
I watched a ton of stuff this week, but the thing I watched last night that stuck with me, I watched Naked Gun. I
Okay.
hadn't seen it in a while.
Right.
And
Is
you
it
know,
reboot?
last week we were talking about the reboot. And that was the other thing. It's not a remake, it's a reboot, I found out.
Okay.
So, which you know how I feel about those. Like
Okay.
remakes are one thing and it's like annoying but fine. But
Are
like
you saying that they're gonna carry forward
yeah,
with the
Liam Neeson is playing Leslie Nielsen's son.
I told Joe about this, my brother, at the shop yesterday. I was at the shop and I was like, "Hey man, I'm sitting there bagging and boarding comics, sitting at the table, and I'm like, "Hey man, did you hear that they're like rebooting whatever Naked Gun?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." It's like, "Guess who's playing it?" He's like, I forget who he said, and I was like, he said like, "Is he a comedian?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." and I finally I said Liam Neeson. We both just started cracking up.
It's wild, man. But you know, so the reason I brought it up
Yeah.
is because I was thinking about it because you know how I don't like reboots,
Yeah.
and I don't like the jamming in of legacy characters to be like, oh, your father wanted you to have all the like the new Night Court is like that. The new Night Court is like cringy as fuck.
Oh, is it?
Oh yeah,
I
because
was
they
gonna
brought
check
back
it out.
it's bad and not good, but like it's like John Larroquette's back,
Yeah.
and you know he was like a pervert on the
Yeah.
original show,
Yeah.
and he's like he's not like that now,
Really.
and they don't address that he was like
Really.
yeah, it's just lame, and it just
That's dumb because yeah, all right, fine. We can't. Nobody's interested in that now, maybe, but then don't do it because that was his character in the '80s, and in the
but it
'80s it was
also
fine.
does it doesn't make any sense. So like he's like
Or it worked.
retired. I don't know if he's retired or he quit or whatever, but the pilot episode, I watched the pilot, and he's like basically Harry's daughter is the new judge,
I
and
was
she
just
like
gonna ask. Jesus
yeah,
Christ, that's
and
dumb.
she like needs him, so she like tracks him down, and of course he's like Luke Skywalker now. He's got a big white beard, and he's just like, I haven't left my apartment. My wife died, and I'm miserable, and it's like that. It's crazy how they're all like this,
Yeah.
and then she gets him to like come back, and I think the new thing is, and it's lame that they don't like do anything with this. At least they didn't in the few that I watched, but he's now the he's on defense instead of the prosecutor.
Okay.
So like, which is could be fun, but like anyway,
Is
it's
Bull
just
in it?
no. I think Bull's dead.
Is he really?
I know half the cast is
Yeah,
dead.
maybe.
And
He was a tall guy.
what was the name of the black lady?
Roz? Wasn't it Roz?
Yeah, she's not on it, but I think she's still alive. But they just got they got a chick that like looks like her, and like is doing. It's so weird.
Same shtick.
Yeah, the same shtick. Basically, it's really weird. It's not good. But anyway,
that would be awesome to bring her back, just old, and like she's still doing this.
But what doesn't make sense, this is the thing that like I forget what it was. Like when they have like okay, the fact that like when they're talking about doing like a new Lethal Weapon, and it's like, dude, like Murtaugh retired in the last one. That's how the last one ended. He's like, all right, I'm gonna retire finally.
Right.
But like Riggs would be like 20 years retired at this point. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Bad Boys is like, I'm like, how could they were cops in 1996. There's no way they're still cops.
Yeah.
There's no way that nobody's a cop for 35 years.
Right.
And like, yeah, it's just nuts.
And you don't come back from retirement either.
No,
So
not
you
with a
can't do
job like
that.
that.
Yeah.
Not with a prosecutor. But that's what I mean about what was it? Oh,
Lethal
Naked
Weapon
Gun.
or Naked Gun.
Um. Oh yeah, yeah. So anyway, I'm watching and I'm like, how? But then I kind of have like a laugh about it, like by myself, because I'm like, how would you? Because while I'm watching Naked Gun, I'm doing the thing that I wind up doing with a lot of stuff I like now, where I'm like, oh, everybody's dead. Literally, I'm watching everybody on screen. I'm like, okay, Ricardo Montalban dead, George Kennedy dead, Liam Neeson dead. The only one. This would be
Leslie Nielsen. Leslie Nielsen.
no.
You said Liam Neeson.
Oh, did I? Yeah, Leslie Nielsen dead. But
Yeah.
but like, what cracked me up? I'm like, well, the only one who's not, because that's the other thing is these
OJ Simpson dead.
OJ
Right.
is not dead.
I know.
So
I
like,
know.
that's my joke. It's like because they don't care with these new like handoff reboots. They don't care if it's like the fucking like eighth lead. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just like, oh, he always want whatever. How funny would it be if they brought out OJ
Hell yeah, dude.
to be like, hey, like your father wanted me to give you this. That would be so funny. It would be crazy. They're gonna have to, and they're gonna have to make a joke about it too.
They could
Like,
do that, and it would be the most insane thing that anyone's ever done.
I don't think they'll do it. There's no way they bring in OJ. Wouldn't it be great if it was like Ghostbusters, where it's like a full on like I'm running the department now, I'm running police squad now, and I'm gonna be like your mentor.
Yeah. Oh
like if they give him a real part.
Dude, that's hilarious. I can't wait to see it.
Have you ever seen the Sacha Baron Cohen thing with OJ?
Oh yeah.
It's nuts, but like I don't think they'll do. It's wild. Like I follow him on Twitter, and it's insane.
Who, OJ?
Yeah, he's on Twitter, and it's the funniest thing ever because he just like chimes in on shit on like draft picks and shit for the NFL or like whatever, like just random things throughout the day. Like whatever the story of the day is, he chimes in, and then you look at the comments, and they're all just like,
"Shut up,
stab emoji, murderer, fuck you." It's crazy. Like that's all he gets all day, and he's just
holy
like, "Oh
shit, man!"
It's
what a nightmare. That's amazing.
Anyway,
there was something.
This made me think, like,
yeah,
awesome.
I can't wait for that. And I'm glad that. I think that's cool that Liam Neeson's going to be his son. I think that's awesome. It's going to be madness. It will.
If they can get the tone right. I mean, it's you know what? It's the same guy that directed MacGruber. So
Jesus Christ,
MacGruber has that tone. Dude, MacGruber's awesome. I dare you to watch MacGruber and not laugh.
I gotta not hear about it for like a week and a half, and then I'll watch it.
That's because everybody loves it.
Everybody talks about MacGruber all the time. Anyway, there was something else that I watched.
MacGruber all the time.
MacGruber. There's something else I watched. I can't remember what it was, but regardless, the big what'd you watch of the week?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Six Cream.
I knew you were gonna call
it. We both watched Six Cream. That's what it says on the poster, man.
No, like, it doesn't.
Like number 6 and then Cream.
I've had, to be fair. Okay, here's the thing about this title sequence, because like I give them a little bit of credit, even though they fucked up. They're one of the more consistent series with like the name. It goes 2, 3, 4, and then Scream 5. Oh no, 4 has the 4 for the A, but it's still Scream 4. Scream 5 is just Scream. But what bugged me is with this new one, they did it right. Like they were like because they don't want to call it Scream 6, you know, but it is when you start the movie. Right. They just make the V and the 1 part of they highlight that on the M.
Yeah.
That's awesome. They should have done that for 5. They should have just made. But what's weird is when you go to Paramount Plus and watch it, they don't do that. It just says Scream, which is the name of 2 movies in this franchise.
Yeah, I know.
It just says Scream on Paramount. They don't highlight the 6.
Yeah.
But whatever. Anyway, either way.
Big picture. Thumbs up or thumbs down? What you got?
Did
you enjoy it?
That's even a hard question.
Let me answer this question for you.
I gave it
this movie fucking sucks.
I give it a C.
No, this movie is okay. All right, that's Kevin's.
Would you say it's better or worse than the last one?
It's worse because I have an articulated, intelligent.
I agree with you that it is worse than the
It's
last one.
trash.
And we
The
shit all over
reason,
the last one.
the biggest, yeah, I know it did. It wasn't a good movie, man. The biggest thing is, or not the biggest thing wrong with it, not at all, but it pisses me off, dude, that if you nowhere in this movie is Wes Craven mentioned in the titles and the anything, but it does say characters created by Kevin Williamson. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Yeah, he wrote this, but without Wes Craven,
Sure, but
this doesn't happen.
yeah. But the thing is, like, with okay, so they dedicated the last movie to him, and
Fine,
then
but
but the thing is about the like based on characters created by Kevin Williamson, that's like that's a union thing, like
so
because
what?
Kevin Williamson gets paid every time they make
Yeah,
one of these movies,
I get it. I get it.
and
But at least put like Wes Craven somewhere on. He should be mentioned on every Scream movie.
yeah, but like credit with the exception of like tributes and like for whatever,
Yeah,
credits are very much like rules, like there's like they it's crazy, like how like at the end of Marvel movies, most movies now, like they play the credits twice at the end.
do they?
Yeah, they play. So what they do
Like in the
is
theater?
yeah, like you go see. Well, they don't play the. What I mean by that is they do the whole like they do the first set of credits where it says like Robert Downey Jr. and there's
In the
like
opening.
graphics and shit.
Oh, I see what
Like
you're saying.
the
Yeah.
movie ends, they do the
Yeah.
like the graphics and the cool
Yeah.
credits, and
Gotcha.
then they do the after credit sequence, and then they do the credits
A
again.
list.
Yeah,
Right.
that's because that's a union rule. You have to have the credits twice.
Right.
And it used to be we have them once at the beginning and once at the end, but now nobody puts them at the beginning.
I see
So
what
they
you're
just
saying.
put it at the end twice. Like there's a lot of weird, like the order that all the like the DP, like all the order of the credits is like super strict.
Right. No, I
Like
get it.
that, yeah, that's the only reason. Like,
But regardless, every Scream movie that ever gets made from here on out, from whenever, it should always say, "Thank you, Wes Craven. We will suck your dick in posthumously for the rest of time." It took two different writers and two different directors, four guys, to make this movie.
okay,
When like, and it still sucked. And they always claim every time they make a new Scream movie that it's different, it's fresh. This is the same fucking movie as number one, and number one is one of the greatest horror movies ever made. I think we all agree on that. And 2, 3, maybe 4, they have their value. But ever since 5, and now this one's 6, they're trying to be like, oh, we're making this our thing, our new thing. No, it's not. It's the same formula. And you remember, the chick, the nerd, what's his name? Not Huey.
yeah, Huey from The Boys.
No. The guy, the nerd guy, the VHS guy in the first movie.
Jamie Kennedy.
Randy. Okay, Jamie Kennedy. So his niece and nephew are in, two characters in this. And you know how the niece is the nerd now? She's him.
She's the worst. She's
the worst. And everyone wanted her to die in number 5. I thought she almost died a couple times in this.
I got
Didn't.
excited. She's just obnoxious. She doesn't have any of the charisma of Jamie Kennedy.
No.
She's just
she gives the same, that speech where they gather them around and she gets a monologue about the rules. Go fuck yourself, because there's nothing. It's the same.
Dude, yeah, the sixth time you're doing it, like,
yeah,
you'd be telling this person, like, can you please shut the fuck up? Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if Jamie Kennedy was still doing it, you'd be like,
yeah,
shut up.
Absolutely,
like,
absolutely.
Especially like, there's a lot of this stuff that isn't like. Or first of all, like, none of the new characters are like. I take that back. I did like Wednesday Addams. What's her name? Jenny Ortega.
Jenny Ortega is always good. Yeah.
He was the only good the only good character in the movie. Everybody else is annoying. Her sister, who like, man, I can't.
Pete Ulrich was awesome. I love seeing him.
I hate this. I hate this big running thing, like that she can. It's so awkward and weird too when she sees it, because he doesn't look like Skeet Ulrich. It reminds me of the Boondock Saints. Like, do you ever seen Boondock Saints 2?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, when they Sean Patrick Flannery, I was like, oh no, they recast him. Oh no, they didn't. That's
That's
him. Like
him.
he gained a ton of weight and got a ton of plastic surgery. Like that's like what that like it looks so bad and it doesn't make any sense. She didn't know him. She didn't.
Right.
It's so stupid. Like I and that's not even my. I'm glad that they toned that part down a little bit, but it's so dumb that like that this like I'm a serial killer thing is like a hereditary thing that she has
Yeah.
that she has to like get over,
Right.
and we're supposed to like applaud her for not like not murdering people because she really wants to. It feels really good to murder people,
Right.
but she doesn't do it. So like, and like the first thing she does is okay. I don't mean to be on like the bro. I know they paint this guy, this like frat guy out to be like this awful fucking guy. But like, just look at it from his perspective, man. He's at a party with some girl who's trying to get loaded, and then he says, "Hey, I've got like, let's go get this other booze." And she's like, "Whatever." And he's like, "I've got someone." And she's sober. She's like, "Yeah, okay, let's fuck it. Let's." She's willing. She's totally like on board. She's not shit faced. She's not dragging her up the stairs.
Careful.
And then about 5 people jump in and cockblock this guy, which is fine.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
like this guy's like the greatest guy.
Right.
However, they tase this. They kick this guy in the balls and then tase him. Like this guy
They tase him in the balls.
Yeah, like he doesn't deserve that. He just what is that? Like I don't know. Maybe I'm whatever. And then
I would argue
the next scene she's hooking up with the other guy.
I know. Okay,
and they have to make a point to say, "Oh, I'm not drunk anymore," even though a half an hour ago you guys were all running to rescue me. I actually love that scene that she was like, "Hey, man, can you guys back the fuck off? Like,
right.
I'm an adult. I'm making decisions. If I want to hook up with a loser, I'm going to do it. Like, leave me alone." Like, I was like, yeah.
Totally,
not
man.
to say, I'm not trying to say, like, that guy should have gotten laid. I'm just saying.
It's hypocritical. Like,
he did roofier.
Right,
like,
right.
He
no, it's I would argue that the frat boy definitely does deserve to get his ass kicked just because he's a douchebag. But the next scene, like you said, where the guy the friend who rescued her then tries to put the moves on her, it's hypocritical because it's like it makes it look like the only reason he did beat up the frat guy was so that he could move in on her. And it's like, what are we doing here? Just everyone. It's one of those situations where everyone sucks. So who do you identify with, or who do you? The best.
Everybody's
the best.
Annoying.
Like the most genuine and like connectable character in this is hot guy across the alley. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the red
he genuinely cares about this girl and like is a good guy looking out for her.
That's okay. So there's a couple things.
There's no redeemable characters.
But okay, before we get on to that, because that's something I want to get on. But like, the other thing, they don't. Everybody in this is like, especially the lead actress, man. She fucking like, okay, like when Gail shows up and she's like, they punch her out and it's like whatever. They argue.
Jesus Christ,
you wrote a book and
she looked rough, man.
But like the thing is, like, dude, they spent half a day together, and like they're acting like you don't know that you weren't like they're acting like they're like a family. They literally, like her ex-husband, and that's the other thing. She's like, Dewey would be ashamed of you. I'd be like, and she's like, oh, that's a low blow. Like, get fucked. That's her. It's her ex-husband that you knew for a day and got him killed. You like dragged him out and said like, hey, come help us.
Right.
And then you get this guy killed. And then you didn't even know the guy. You knew him for like a day. You knew her for another day. Yeah. And then you just act like fuck this. Fuck that character. She sucks.
Yeah.
She's
just this whiny victim kind of a character in a movie is supposed to be about the opposite of that. And when you compare and contrast with like Nev Campbell's character, who was like a really cool character for several movies that you could identify with, who grew throughout the movies, and
learned
things and like whatever. And then you got this one and it's like, I hope if they keep going, I hope they switch and Jenna Ortega kind of takes the lead, and this one is just She goes
I
on
think
vacation
they
or
I
something.
think they have to like make her the killer in the next movie because they've been like,
Toying with it.
well, they've just been like
And then
what's
you
the
put the
point of
sisters against each other. Like,
yeah, I
yeah, you could
guess
do
like that
that.
would be interesting at
That would be
least.
interesting.
There were a couple times when they're like, here, okay, hang on. I'm gonna bitch a little more real quick. But I was gonna say there were a few times where I was like, oh wow, that's interesting. Like, and
Yeah,
then
me
it was
too.
like, oh, you didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
But like when I said like the red herring earlier, like, okay, here's the thing. The last one, we didn't love the last one, but I remember a little more fondly that I would put it at number 3 in the franchise.
Really?
Like I would go 1, 2, 5, 4, no, 5, 3, 4. I don't know where I'd put this
I don't
one.
know what you're saying right now.
Okay,
Numbers.
anyway, but like it used to be like in 1 and 2 and even 3 and like even in the last one, there's a lot of balls in the air as far as like who is the killer. You know what I mean? And they
Right.
have people that they're actively trying to make you think it might be them, but they don't. But it's not. But they also do that with like it could be them, but wait, that seems like a good example is the first one where it's like, oh, it's clearly Billy, and then it's so obvious that it's Billy that you're like, it can't be Billy, and
Right.
then it is. You know what I mean? Like it
But
tricks you into being.
that's a trope of these movies.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That's a good misdirect. It's like it's
Yeah.
tricking you into thinking you're smarter than the movie, and
Right.
then it's like, nah, we're not. We got you anyway.
Right.
This one, all the red herrings are like, it's obvious it's not them. It's obviously not the main chick. Like they keep setting it up that it might be her because she keeps like having you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's not that, and then it's also not the guy that's always running in right after the murder.
Right.
Like it's clearly like it was just so obvious that they were setting that up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Well, and they blew. I knew it was Dermot Mulroney. I knew it was him the second they showed him in the, his daughter gets killed and he comes out in the alley and they go up to him and
yeah.
he starts crying. 30 seconds later, everybody's smiling and joking, and he's just standing there with everyone. He's fine. And it's like, oh, okay, he's the killer. He got over his daughter's death
Oh,
instantaneously. And then all of a
yeah,
sudden
I get
he turns into like there's no mourning. He wasn't mourning at all. Never. He never once mourned. And I get like maybe he's got a mission now, but the way that they played it was like he was too let's go get him, making
yeah.
jokes. You stole my
I
car. That's a cop car, you sillies. He's the killer. Obvious. Or
Yeah, I knew he
one
was
of
the
them.
killer as soon as the first time I was like, maybe is when he was like, well, I can vouch for Quinn. It's not Quinn because it's not like whatever. And I was like, okay, that's just what I mean to be like, well, we could rule her out because whatever. And I was like, all right. And then when she like got killed later, she died off screen,
Right.
which these movies don't do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like even when there is a fake out death, you see it happen, and then
Right.
later they tell you, "Oh, it was a fake." She dies off screen. I was as soon as that happened, I knew right away. I was surprised that there were 3 of them, but as soon as I saw 3, I was like, oh, "Okay, so it's the other boy." Like that's
Yeah, the
like,
curly haired nerd guy. He kept saying
yeah,
like
it's
he kept saying, I've got an alibi, I've got an alibi. And they just took him at his word. And I was like, wait, you're not gonna check that out? Which they would do. It's to some extent and somehow.
sure, but they
They
would
wouldn't just they don't take people at their words in Scream movies.
also doesn't. There's so much that doesn't. There's so much that falls apart. Like for example, like when annoying girl gets stabbed on the train, he's the one that like rescued her and seemingly takes her to the hospital. But like, why would he take her to the hospital? He's the one that like that's why like she's not in the final scene because she's stabbed, and
Right.
he's the one that like carries her away. It would be like, well, why would he take her to the hospital? Why wouldn't he just stab her again?
Right.
Like there's a lot of that shit. That's the other thing that sucks about it is this bullshit. That's what I don't love about Marvel anymore is like, oh, we can just kill characters and then bring them back. Like it's no big deal. I mean, it's one thing to do it. Like they did it to Dewey 4 movies in a row where like he gets stabbed and then at the end he's like getting wheeled out on a gurney, like, and he's okay.
Yeah.
And it was a fool because you guys do it every time, and this is great. And it was only with him. They do it to like, I think they do it to three different characters in this movie where
Yeah.
it's like, oh, they get stabbed. Well, Courtney Cox doesn't die. They say like the paramedic runs in and they ADR she's got a weak pulse. Like,
Do they show her
you know.
again after that scene?
No.
We don't see her again. That's weird. That's a weird thing.
Yeah, well, I
didn't
think they
realize that.
kind of wanted it to seem like I don't maybe they didn't know if they were going to kill her or not because that is it's 80 yard for sure.
Yeah.
Like that the paramedic comes in and says, "Oh, we've got a weak pulse."
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Because
And
it plays like
I knew they would try to hang on to her because she's the last one left that wants to have anything to do with these movies. But
she's a producer on them too.
yeah,
So,
but she's not. I mean, man, she looked rough. The scene, that scene with her final fight, what garbage! Like
yeah,
the she's this tiny, frail, pretty much old lady, taking on. We don't know which ghost face it was, but it was, judging from the stature of the one she was fighting and the fact that he's the one that grabs her boyfriend, the black guy.
Mhm.
You see him in the background and Ghostface grabs him. And he even makes the comment about the boyfriend's muscles. Well, those muscles didn't do any good. So that's one of the guys, that Ghostface. And she goes toe to toe with him throughout this whole fight. Garbage. Like, it's one thing in the original movie or in other movies, but especially in the original, when these like younger high school aged to 20-year-olds are taking on other high schoolers, that I can wrap my head around. But this was like super heroics from her character, that just for the sake of touting her longevity through the franchise, which is,
I mean, why even put her in it? I mean,
face.
She doesn't do anything.
You need a face.
Yeah,
you
but
need some kind of nostalgia that you don't like. I know, I understand
but that's supposed to be what this new cast is there for. Like, it was supposed,
Well, that's my biggest gripe of this thing. There's nothing new. They held on to everything and just rehashed everything. And they had so much. They had so much to gain being in a city. I was looking forward to that. The scene in the convenience store with the shotgun and all that was fresh. They didn't move with that at all.
That, by the way, again, these characters, first thing they do, man, is like they just get people killed. Like, they bring Ghostface into a convenience store where he kills everybody but them.
Did you not like that though?
Oh, I love the scene
where he's got the balls to just walk into a convenience store and start stabbing people. I was like, cool. Let's do more of that.
Well, I was torn in the beginning. Oh yeah, let's talk about the opening scene. Like, it was fine. It was like this chick's waiting for this guy to show up, and then like he kills her in an alley, and then he takes off the mat, and I'm like, whoa, are they gonna just? That's what I thought they were doing. Where that
would have been interesting.
We're just gonna tell you who the killer is, because that would. I mean, we say it'd be interesting now. We'd probably be bitching. It'd be like, you fucking give away the killer. But
well, there would be a catch. There would be a twist.
Well, how cool would it be to see a Scream movie from the perspective of the killer?
Sure.
Like, where it's like, I'm gonna, like, where you see him sneaking around, or even like which guy is gonna be like, no, you wear the costume and kill her. I'm gonna go over here, and like the problems they have to deal with. Like, dude, she kicked me in the balls and threw me down the stairs, or I left my knife there. Like, that's an interesting movie.
The other thing that they did with that I thought they were going to do was a good fresh twist would have been ghost faces or ghost like a like in the garbage one of the newer Predator movies, there's like an apex predator who hunts other predators, right?
Yeah.
Have an apex ghost face
who's like killing copycat killers.
Killing copycats
too.
That's what I thought they were going to do. And they didn't. And I was like, man, what are we doing then? Oh, more of the same. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. And it was, and man, like that scene in the fucking Ghostface Museum was just like
barf.
You know me. That felt like that was like written specifically.
Yeah,
let's annoy.
Remember
like,
this. Remember this.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hey Kevin,
it doesn't make
Kevin,
any
do you remember this?
Hey, remember, this is the TV, and they point out. Not only did they just have it there, like it's not. I didn't like the rapper in Ghostbusters being in his pocket. You're telling me that like you got, and they say like, oh, we bribed cops. Really, you've been bribing cops for 30 years,
Yeah.
like getting this stuff, and oh, you got all the knives, you got all the costumes, you've got all the masks, and then you've got the TV that they dropped on Matthew Lillard's head in the first one. You've got, which by the way, they kill someone else by dropping it on his head. You drop that broken ass TV on
Yeah.
somebody else, like it's not gonna do it like
Right.
last time.
Right.
And like, I mean, what else was in there? The fucking jacket,
Everything
riding
was in there.
the fucking
Everything was in there.
everything. It
I
was
don't.
insane.
It made it feel like a Saw movie, and I was like it was something out of Saw or something. It was just dumb. It was a dumb
It
idea.
was so dumb, dude. It looked like the thing they have at fucking Star Wars Celebration. Like when you walk in and it's like
Which to be clear isn't dumb. That's cool because it's in Star Wars Celebration.
yeah,
But
everybody likes movie props. And
right.
like, tell you what, a serial killer museum would be a cool thing, man. But like this is just, and that's me about this franchise is like they act like there's this legacy when they're to Ghostface that there isn't. Like it's always just a new guy wearing that costume. If the guy wore a fucking hockey mask, is it like if there's a serial killer going around that campus, but he's not dressed like Ghostface, are they still freaking out? Like, do they care? You know what I mean? Like, they act like Ghostface is a person, and he's not. He's like, you know what I mean? If he's wearing a Batman mask, is it still the same thing?
I think that I think another thought I had, like the whole movie, I'm just watching. I'm like, oh, there's like, I just couldn't get the idea out of my head that there's nothing new going on, and that's what they tout 5 and 6 as being something new, and it's just not. And like, I had the thought, the stuff we were talking about earlier, from the perspective of Ghostface Killer or Ghostface Apex hunting other Ghostfaces, awesome. But then I was like, at some point, why don't you take Ghostface in a supernatural direction? It doesn't have to be blatant. It doesn't have to be like when Jason turned supernatural, but
or Michael Myers. It never really works out.
Don't do that. I'm saying like just give it a hint of it, which would mean, I think, if you went that way, that at the end you wouldn't reveal who it is because it would be a mystery, and maybe it could lead to the next one or leave it open-ended, but you never figure out who it is. And that's the only supernatural aspect, is that you don't figure out who it is. Right when you think you've figured it out, they don't reveal it. But you got to
be bad,
and that's how it ends, on not a cliffhanger, but like a mystery.
There's a couple things, man, that like it's just like ballsy. They think they have this like, dude, how about when like the big reveal that Hayden Panettiere is the FBI agent, and it's like,
yeah,
who the fuck is that? Oh, she was in Scream 4. Like,
yeah,
like she was like,
she wasn't even like
lead.
she wasn't, and she died. I'm pretty sure or got taken out relatively early with very few scenes.
Fast and Furious movies do this too, where they like have these like,
yeah,
look, it's this guy. It's the third secret agent from the second movie.
Yeah. He forgot to wear a seatbelt and fell out the window. Like, remember?
Or just like, like acting like minor characters are a big fucking deal.
I mean, that's a candy bar rapper, if anything, man. I used to have the biggest crush on her when she was on Heroes. She was the main character. And so I was trying to place the dates and the timelines in the years that have gone by since then. And like, she says something in this movie, because she looks way older than she actually is. I think
she does. She looks,
the actress is 34, which blew my mind, which means that in Heroes, she was like 14 or 15.
Yeah, she was young.
But she's 34, the actress. But in this movie, she says that she's 30. And I was like, you're not 30. Because she doesn't look 30.
But also she works for the FBI. It was like, get the fuck out of
here. And Courtney Cox is like, they don't let children in. She doesn't look like a child. Are you serious? She looks like she's 45 years old.
Yeah. But also, well, the other thing is she's in the Scream where it's the first time they tried to do like, this is a new generation. Like the first time they made all the jokes about like, oh, Courtney Cox is old. That was Scream 4. And then like,
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But like, what's funny about that too is like, Like, think about this. They just like, and I don't mean to nitpick about this, but like, I feel like I'm in like, you know, I don't know. I forget what's the one where. Okay, like let's just go over Dermot Mulroney's like plan. Okay, like
First, before you get into his plan, and I want to hear what you have to say.
not only his plan, but go ahead. It's
Yeah,
just
but
like,
did you feel like there was there's always the exposition scene with the killer where he goes through his plan.
mhm.
For me, this one felt like enormous. This was an enormous exposition dump, right?
Yeah, well,
Compared to other ones.
Well, yeah, but you would need it to be. I mean, think about
Holy
this.
shit. I was like,
They
when is this guy going to shut up?
so these guys. So this is the thing. Okay,
Because
so
usually it's a
all
cool scene. The exposition scene is usually interesting. This was not. Go ahead.
so here's the thing.
His plan.
So in the original, in Scream 2, you had Randy and Nev Campbell went to the same college, right? And the next and took place there, right? And they were basically the only survivors in the first one, besides Gail. But Gail was never. You could put her anywhere,
right?
This one, you've got all four of the main characters from the last one all go to the same college.
Right.
Oh, except for no. Actually, the Skeet Ulrich girl, I guess, isn't attending the college. She just moved to New York to watch out for her sister.
Yeah.
Okay. Either way, let's say that. Okay. They all went to college and they're all there, right? So Dermot Mulroney, who's the father of the killer in the first movie, which plays in Woodsboro.
Dermot Mulroney is Dermot Mulroney is the father.
Not in the last movie.
From the last movie.
In the last movie.
Right.
Yeah, in Scream 5.
Right.
But so they just happen to move in first of all, they all moved to New York where that guy's dad is a police captain in New York, and his jurisdiction is the college that they're going to. Like, okay, like sure, okay, maybe, but and his daughter is rooming with both of his kids. I know that was part of the plan, but like both his kids are rooming with all of the it was just like, dude,
convenience.
How long have you been playing this? It was just like, dude, do you know how much paperwork and like, you know what I mean, would be involved with like, okay, I'm gonna get this roommate. Like both my kids are gonna room with. You don't get to pick your roommate, really. Like you don't get to pick your random roommate. You can bring your roommate, but you don't get to like pick your random roommate. And for them to like do all that, it just makes no sense. Which is fine, whatever. I don't need to. If the movie were good, I wouldn't be nitpicking it like this.
Right.
But it was just annoying, you know?
Right.
And there was I don't know. The cringe wasn't as bad as the last one. No, it was. I don't know.
I think it was. I think there were scenes that like didn't make any sense. There were scenes that were way too convenient because of the lazy writing. And there was like, and just like, I don't know. I just keep going back to these. And it's not just this movie. There's a lot of movies nowadays that claim to be something fresh before they come out, something new ideas, whether it's a reboot or remake or a sequel or whatever. And it's just not. And it's like, man, that's why I'm so pissed about Wes Craven not being mentioned, because that dude did so many great movies. And then he made Scream and was like, just raise the bar, and these people keep making this garbage and not, paying respect to him or whatever. And I don't know, that sounds like bullshit, but it's like, there's nothing here to hold on to. And Wes Craven gave us so much to hold on to. He laid the groundwork for a franchise, and it just seems like every single one gets worse and worse and worse. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, and that, and that's, yeah. The other, what's another fucking annoying thing? Sorry. It's like, you're right that like, oh, it's more of the same. They've been doing okay. So the first one, it was cool. Like, okay, these are the rules for a horror movie, and these are the people that make it out, and you don't have set, you don't do this. And they do it in every one of these. It's 6 of them now. But like, since the second one, it's been like all the rules are out the window. Like
Right.
that's what the big movie buff has to say is like
Yeah.
sometimes, like it could be the main killer, it could be whatever. Like, and it's like, dude, they've been doing that for 5 movies, being
Yeah.
like, what good are you if you're supposed to be like the movie expert and like explaining like, no, well, it's this rule and this rule and this rule. Like, you've been saying there aren't any rules for 5 movies now. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Like,
And
it's
also,
just
and every time they do that, and especially with this chick, it's like they post her up as this uh movie buff who knows that the rules have changed over time, and so you can't adhere to the same old rules. There's new rules, but are there? And blah blah blah. And it's like, and then the way that she proves the scene where she gets to prove, which I think she's had a scene in the last movie as well, the scene where she gets to prove why she's the movie buff when she's sitting with Hayden Panettiere and they're like, one upping each other, trying to feel each other.
Oh, I hated that
And
scene.
it's like the movies that they talk about, yes, are great staple movies in horror, but really it's
Nightmare on Elm Street and
it's the
Jason.
general audience level of
Yeah.
knowledge that make them the horror experts. That get fucked. That's where you get fucked. And it was just the way and the facial expressions they were making back at each other, and because they're so cool and they're both on the same page, but go fuck off. Just fuck off. It's so lame. I can't believe that somebody wrote that thinking that was cool and a good idea. Like,
it'd be hilarious.
This scene will prove.
It would be, what would be awesome? A scene like that, but like stick it in a fucking more hardcore movie. Do Saw or like Cannibal Holocaust or something like that, and then be like, oh, this is what always happened. Like that character being like, oh, the natives are like the Great Inferno, like, oh, the natives are gonna come and they're gonna, oh, you're the guy that does this.
Yeah. There's a way to pay
make
homage.
It the Greasy Strangler.
Dude, there's a way to pay homage to where everything came from. Okay, because I don't want to be. I'm the last person who's going to shit on someone for paying homage to Friday 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street or all that stuff, whatever. But make it fresh. Throw a little like, hey, what was the best creature film of the last decade? The Descent. Right. Cool.
Sure.
Or like what you said, like, what's the weirdest fucking horror movie of the last decade? Greasy Strangler. Awesome. And just throw some shit out there that is like intelligent and new and interesting. Instead, it's like, really? We all
and
know.
She's of course she's like, we're in a franchise, and it's like, of course that's
you're
what you know what I mean? Like,
those two characters are the characters are the people on like social media, like the hot chicks that wear a Boba Fett helmet and go, I'm a nerd. No, you're not. No, you're not. You never got beat up in high school. You never had, like, for loving.
Those are the writers, man. That's
get
what
the
that
fuck
is.
out of here. Like,
that's who's writing this movie, man.
Oh my God. And and it took 2 people to write that.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, this movie, it was, I tell you what, I didn't cringe as much as I thought I was going to, but I did cringe a lot.
Yeah. There were some enjoyable scenes. Like I said, the convenience store. Oh, and I wanted to say in the opening scene, which, I'm watching it and I'm like you said, oh, this is where we're going. Cool. But it didn't go there. But the opening scene, the killer in the alley with the girl in the yellow dress. You recognize him? The actor?
Oh, it's Flash Thompson.
Flash Thompson, but also one of the main characters in the Willow series.
Yeah, he is in Willow, yeah.
And I really, really dislike him. I think he's a flat actor, but in this, I liked him. And I was like, cool, let's do something with him. And instead, I feel like what they did instead was, which they also thought was clever, which could have been, but wasn't, was like, hey, you guys are used to the hot chick dying in the beginning, which she did. Well, we're going to kill a guy. And it's like, okay, do that. But like I said, go with it where it's like an apex ghost face killing. And why can't we get a ghost face who's a female but like a plus size female who can throw dudes around,
Well,
like that would be
arguably,
awesome. That would be
if
awesome.
they ever had a fat guy, you'd be able to tell.
I'm not
Like,
talking about fat guy. I'm saying uh
talking like a Ronda Rousey type, or like,
yeah, yes, or Captain Phasma, Game of Thrones.
oh yeah, she would stick out too. She's
She
like
would
7 feet
stick out,
tall.
but remember you didn't I don't think you watched all of or you didn't watch all of Wednesday. So she's the therapist in Wednesday, and like
Mhm.
I can't believe I forgot her name. She's awesome, but you get an actress like that who's just a larger female, bigger bones, whatever you want to say, and you work her into the story where we don't think that she's the killer, but she ends up being, and it makes perfect sense because she's a bigger
Yeah, because she's massive.
person who can go toe to
Yeah.
toe with like cute guy
I mean,
across the fucking
that
alley.
would be great, especially if it's going to be as easy to solve the murder as it was in this one. Dude, put like Dave Bautista in the movie, and then have fucking Ghostface be like 7 feet tall and
Go
like
that way. That's
ripped.
fine.
Now he's throwing people through walls, and you're like, who the fuck is that? Oh, and then
Okay.
like, then the first time you see the guy on screen, you're like, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's already how I feel. That's a thing nobody talks about. I mean, like, first of all, you know where I'm at with Drax. Drax annoys me,
Yeah.
but like,
I love Drax.
and I think Dave Bautista's a fine actor.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with him. However, whenever he's in a movie, I feel like, you know what? It's the same thing as when I see Peter Dinklage in a movie and no one reacts to Peter Dinklage. Like Peter Dinklage just walks in a room and he's a doctor or he's a scientist.
Oh,
you're
an angry elf.
Well, no, that's fine because they address like, oh, he's whatever.
A little person.
But like there's a movie called I Care a Lot where he plays a mobster.
Really?
Yeah. And no, he just walks into people's office. Nobody
blinks an
even
eye.
notices.
Right.
Nobody.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I'm not saying in the X-Men movie, which takes place in the 60s.
Right.
Or no, it was the 70s, even worse.
Right.
I'm not saying that like we gotta like, yeah, it would be in poor taste to be like the little guy, like whatever.
Yeah.
However, in 1970s, you pull up like, hey, let's pull up what the scientist that invented this looks like, and they pull him up, and it's like, and he's Peter Dinklage. It's a room full of people. Somebody's saying something. Somebody's not, and they don't have to say anything derogatory. You're like, oh,
well, all right, man. That's a great point because,
but that's how I feel about Dave Bautista.
Right? No, I get it.
Like he's playing a fuck, like, and he's making eggs and just playing a regular person, and it's
right.
Get the fuck out of here, dude. Like you look like an action figure. You look like a fucking He-Man toy, and you're just supposed to be a regular guy.
Yeah.
And like. At the supermarket. Fuck off. It drives me crazy.
Oh all right.
Sorry, what I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Nothing. No, that's good. That's good. I get it. I think this movie is just trash for so many reasons. The reasons I said, but also for squandering some really good potential, which might even be the worst reason to not like it.
Are you done? Will you do Scream 7?
Oh, I'll watch them all. Yeah. I mean, I'll watch them the way we watch them. We're not going to pay to watch them.
That's the thing. Like this one wasn't as bad. Like I thought for sure. I was like, this is going to be the one that breaks me where I'm done. Like where I'm not doing any more of them.
I don't get that way. I know. I get it. I don't get that way with stuff.
It was good enough that I'm like, I'll check out the next one.
I wouldn't say it was good enough on any level for anything, but it's more like I want to see it succeed, man, because Scream 1 is just, I know everybody loves Scream 1, but it really means a lot to me for a lot of reasons. But that's one of the few, that movie and Fright Night and Lost Boys and a couple others. There's a handful of them that I could sit and I could watch them on repeat all day long because it's got everything. And there's no reason why you can't, if you're going to repeat a formula, repeat what makes them good. And that's being fresh. I don't think there's another horror movie. I can't think of another horror movie ever, anywhere in history that like did what Scream did, where it was so new. There hasn't been one since in my mind, and there wasn't one before because it took everything that came before, made it new. And then everything that came after was based on that. So it's like you got to keep up in the bar, raising the
Yeah.
bar, and there's no reason that we can't do that. So I don't think they will.
One last thing that I gotta say, I fucking hate, and they've been doing it since Scream 3. And even though I did like one of the lines, I hate when Ghostface talks, like
Really?
outside the phone. It drives me up the wall.
Outside
when
the
he's
phone? What do you mean?
like when he's not
Oh,
on the phone. He just is like making quips like Freddy Krueger.
I thought
It's
that
annoying.
I thought that you talking about in person.
Yeah, like when he's like killing somebody.
That's a good point. I thought that this was the only movie that happened. Has he talked before
No.
outside of the phone?
So he does it in Scream 3, but at least in Scream 3, he like holds the thing up,
Right. Great point.
which is annoying. I hated it then, but I
But
think
at least
he did
he's
it.
holding that up.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. But like but besides that,
That's laziness because they take for granted that how effective it is to show that he's talking in a box, holding the box up. They just ask you to assume that now there's a built-in thing in their mask that changes their voice. No, that's lazy. That is so lazy.
It's dude, he doesn't talk like that. He doesn't, you know what I mean?
But
like,
I agree. He shouldn't speak at all unless he's on the phone. We shouldn't hear his voice ever.
Yeah, I agree. But in this one, and it would bug me was in this one, even though I did like the line, like, who gives a fuck about movies? I did really like that, but I was like, it's not worth it for him to talk. You know what I mean? I'd rather he not talk.
Yeah.
And,
definitely.
Or say that on the phone. Say that while, like, where the guy's like, oh, is it my scare? Whatever. He starts talking about scare, and the guy says, who gives a fuck about movies? And then jumps out.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? But.
All right, we'll I know what you call it. Who made this movie? I don't know. Somebody. Dimension. Is this still Dimension? Or is Dimension?
Dimension's long gone.
Long gone. Okay. I wonder who has it. They're a friend of the show though. They're watching. So we'll write and direct your next movie, folks. Just give us a ring. All right, man. We should move on to The Good Son.
Yeah, we should.
Remember that? Remember we had that? Which I'm eager to talk about. 1993. Let's go back to 1993. All right, come with me. The Good Son. Macaulay Culkin. I'm gonna go through the stats. Okay, Macaulay Culkin, Elijah Wood, playing Frodo Baggins. Kevin McCallister. What a strange movie to have those such nice men, such nice characters, and David Morse, I'm always happy with him in a movie. He wasn't in this very much, but he's good.
That's Elijah Wood's dad.
No, yes.
Okay.
Quinn, I think the one and only time I've ever seen Quinn Culkin, his sister.
This is the biggest part. I think she has a small part in one of the Home Alones, but like non-speaking, one of the background kids.
Directed by Joseph Rubin. I forgot to look him up. I know he's done stuff. Gosh darn. Written by Ewan McGregor or some guy that sounds like that. But here's the thing, Kevin. Music by Elmer Bernstein.
Yep.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Did you notice? This is the first time that I realized Elmer Bernstein has a sound that only he does. You know what I'm talking about? It's like this.
Yeah,
like,
it's
like a.
No. See, I didn't. I got it, but not that. Not what you're talking about. I got it on the establishing shots, like the driving shots, where it's just like, it reminded me of like the transitional scenes between Ghostbusters, where it's like
he's definitely got a progression that he uses, like you're saying,
like this like whimsical,
right? Very whimsical.
Like, yeah.
But there's a specific sound that he uses that I've only heard in his movies.
Yeah.
I love Elmer Bernstein and Ghostbusters. The Ghostbusters score is what I'm talking about that he did. The soundtrack is awesome too, but the score is awesome. I think he was the worst person for this score. I'm not like slighting.
I made a note about the music.
It was wrong. The music was wrong for this movie.
The beginning, the music was I eventually I was down. Well, not only that,
it's too
it didn't help. Yeah, it didn't help that how about the font for the
Oh
did you
yeah,
notice that?
the kitty
The like
typewriter font.
the kindergarten cop like Sans
Yeah,
Comic Sans.
yeah.
Like, what is this?
What is
Over
this?
like this like fun kind of like
Yeah,
adventure-y like
yeah. And
score
that's what the music was. Like
over like
it's
this
like,
kid's mom dies of cancer and they open
yeah.
the scene.
Let's get our crayons. Let's draw. Mom's dying. Let's get our crayons. What are we doing? Um, Nothing against Elmer Bernstein. That wasn't his fault. That was like, well, I guess he could have done something different, but whoever picked him, it was the wrong pick. I wrote in my notes like more pleasant music, like probably 7 times. And this movie
Well,
is not pleasant.
yeah, but here's the thing. I saw this movie when I was 10. I saw it in theaters, and then I saw it dozens of times after that. And I think just those little things about it, especially the music,
Yeah.
made me like almost like mentally blocked out how fucked up it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it didn't register with me like it probably should have.
It plays a trick with your brain, as you know, in post and also and obviously while you're watching it, because you're like, what should I be getting ready for right now? Like it's like playing this adventure music when they're dragging a dummy, or like this, look, they got a dog in their sights with this fucking crossbow, and they're playing this like upbeat, like weird music. It was bizarre. It was a bizarre choice.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed, not really, but I appreciated Elijah Wood's performance as Jonathan Taylor Thomas. I thought it was good. But Macaulay
I thought he was
Culkin,
great. He
yeah,
was really. I thought everybody was very good in this movie.
he had a little bit too much of that. They both had a little bit too much of that adult awareness that comes through in child actors of this time, where it's like kids wouldn't say that, or kids wouldn't act that way,
like the Dakota Fanning
yeah,
like effect,
yeah,
where it's like,
yep.
how old are you? Like,
Right. Yeah.
like, did you ever see I Am Sam?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Dakota Fanning in that movie is like, are you like 100 and they're like trapped in like a little kid's body? Like, what is going on?
Totally. But Macaulay Culkin, man, I'm torn, man, because it was a good performance by him, considering, but I don't know. I can't wait to find out at Christmas. I don't know if I could go back and watch Home Alone the same way after this, because he is
this
like,
the first time you've seen this?
yeah, I've never seen this.
Oh, you've never seen it before?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's like he is an evil dirtbag, like manipulative, conniving, evil dirtbag from.
Yeah. And he looks like, I mean, this is after Home Alone 1, before Home Alone 2.
No, this is after 2. 2 came out.
It was after 2.
It was 91 and 92, and then this was 93.
I think he shot this before 2, or
Maybe.
he might have, because there's a lot of crazy behind the scenes stuff that has to do with Home Alone 2. But one of the things though that like, because he looks like Kevin, like other movie,
totally.
he ages in other movies and doesn't even in like My Girl, he doesn't look like Kevin McCallister, because he has glasses and stuff like that.
Do you know when My Girl was?
My Girl was
after
probably
this?
if I had to guess, 94.
Okay.
I think it was around this time, but like he looks, but like you think about it, Kevin's kind of a psycho in those movies.
Oh, totally.
Like this could be like
where he goes.
Like this is like a natural progression. This could be like Home Alone 3
right.
easily.
I mean, people love saying that, and I get it, and everybody wants to see like, even though they made like a fan film, but like, everybody wants to see like an adult Kevin McCallister setting booby traps in his house. But I mean, if you're a kid, you're going to be doing that same shit, and I don't think it makes you like a bad person or whatever.
Well, I'm talking the first one. Yes. Second one is like
sadistic.
Second one. Yeah. The second one, he's just chucking bricks at him and shit. Like the second one.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah. It's not, that's, we talk about the gun scene and Stand By Me all the time. That's a scene that as an adult, I was like, holy shit. Like as a kid, I thought it was hilarious. This one, he's throwing bricks off the roof.
Because I could see someone I'm surprised that kind of thing doesn't happen more often, where it's like, some idiot kids think it's funny to throw bricks off a roof and at people, and like you get fucked up, like
Well, that's what's wild about this movie. That like, I mean, I saw it a million times, and like I saw it with. I think my uncle took me, but like I saw it with my parents, and there was never a like, you shouldn't be watching this because like all the fucked up things he does. Yeah, he builds like a bolt gun. A 10-year-old probably couldn't do that, but hypothetically, like you could do Mr. Highway, you could do, you know what I mean? Like all the shit he does in this movie. He throws his kid sister under the ice, and
yeah,
you could do all that stuff,
totally.
like it.
And the bolt gun, I mean, it's a glorified BB gun, and tons of kids. I had a BB gun when I was a kid. I shot windows out. I blew up our sub pump for the water supply to the house. I stopped using it when I shot a bird accidentally, and I killed it, and it fell out of the tree, and I was like, I'm done. And I realized the gravity of what I had done. I mean, not Kevin, but this kid and Macaulay Culkin in this movie has no conscience and no remorse, and it's like
Yeah, that's what's kind of
terrifying.
neat.
It's a little terrifying
Is
in these situations.
I like that, like when the main character Mark like shows up, it's like that ship sailed. Like
Yeah.
he's already like there's no, you know what I mean? Like in another movie it would be he's kind of discovering like, what if I do this or what if I try this? But it's
Right.
like, nah, man, he's all the way gone,
Yeah.
and he's
The
like he's been
second,
doing this shit for a long time.
oh, totally. The very first second we see him hanging upside down off the steps with his mask on, I'm like,
Oh, it was so
that,
good, right?
yeah, yeah. And I'm like, that dude, watch out. Because this kid, and he comes downstairs and he brings the second mask for Elijah Wood, and he's like, we're like brothers now. You wear it. I wasn't prepared for like that meeting. I was like, oh, this, I mean, I knew what the idea was behind this movie, but um I wasn't prepared for that relationship that started with a bit of a bond to go so south so fast. Um, like Elijah Wood realizes he's a smart kid. He realizes right off the bat, like, this dude is fucked. And I think the first time, like, the biggest reason that he realizes it is his relationship with the sister and how much fun
Yeah.
they're having putting like a puzzle together or something. And she says to him, like, you're going to be okay. We're going to take care of you while you're here. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then, but you're also going to die. So, or
Yeah.
going to try to kill you.
But it was, man, and as a kid, like there was a bunch of stuff that, it was cool. Like the kid was a psycho, but like just how manipulate, like Macaulay Culkin's playing 4D chess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not just like he's acting good for his parents and evil around
Right.
Elijah Wood. He's doing shit like, I don't know, man. Did I poison all the food?
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
And then but then knowing like he's gonna fucking throw out all the food and the parents are gonna freak the fuck out.
Right.
Like just like
The one that's a great scene. The one scene like that didn't work for me was when he shows up, when Elijah goes to see his counselor and Kevin McCallister's already there.
yeah.
And like, to me, that's a little too heady, a little too ahead of the curve, for him to,
Yeah.
for him as a little kid to go sit down with Elijah Wood's psychiatrist and be like, and like preemptively get there, and the way that he
See,
manipulates that conversation with her.
it didn't bother me only because like it felt like he was just covered. I mean, yeah, like I had sold like I that's the other thing, man. Macaulay Culkin is fucking amazing in this part. Like as far as like
Sure.
he's just like he sells it like
Yeah.
that he's that smart. You know what I mean? Like and that he's I don't know. I bought that and
There
like
are a lot of parallels between the personality of this kid and Kevin McCallister. I'm serious. Like there's times, because like Kevin McCallister is always thinking ahead. And once he gets over his fear, and this kid is like tripling down on that, thinking
yeah,
ahead.
I mean that's how Kevin sets up booby traps where
Right.
it's like,
There's
oh, they're gonna pull on this thinking that it's gonna do this, but then this other
Right.
thing's gonna shoot out here.
And he's
Yeah, you're
doing
right.
that. He's like, I'm gonna say this. They're gonna be thinking I'm, thinking this one thing, and I'm gonna be behind sleight of hand doing something else. And this, I feel like with the doctor was the beginning of his like masterminding plan where of thinking like 10 steps ahead as to how he can manipulate the whole situation beyond just Elijah Wood, but bringing the
Yeah.
mom into it, the dad into it, everyone turning them against
Yeah.
Elijah Wood.
And you know what was cool is you don't have that thing. I mean, you kind of do where you're watching it and you're like, well, just do this, just say that, like tell this person or do
Yeah,
like whatever, because he's fucking ahead of him. And like even like the highway thing, he's got him by the balls. He's like
right.
already like, go ahead and tell him. Like they're not
Yeah.
gonna fucking believe. Like I'll tell him that you did it. Like, and so he wants to cover his own ass, but he's also like he's
Well,
like
I was really happy that he there at one point Frodo does pull a Mike Tobacco and he goes to the mom and he's just flat out says like, here's what's up. I
yeah.
need to tell you this stuff. And I was like, cool. I love when characters communicate. And obviously she didn't believe him, but at
But
least he
that's
like put it out
it
there.
makes
And
sense
then
that she wouldn't. You know what I
and
mean?
he and
Like,
then on the phone with the dad, he puts it out there and he's like, Dad, you got to come home because
yeah,
Kevin is like insane. And his dad and the dad's like, oh, that's when the dad is like, all right, I want you to go see the doctor, tell her everything you told me. And when he gets
yeah,
there, he's already there. So yeah,
yeah,
I like that. This movie had solid writing. It, there was like, there were some things in it that I thought they could have expanded on a little bit. It was a really short movie. It was less,
yeah.
you take the credits out, it's less than an hour and a half. I think it was like an hour and 20 minutes.
Really? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, runtime. Like
there's no fat on it either. Yeah,
no.
it could have been a little longer, but it didn't.
They
It
rushed
really
they
moved.
rushed the ending, I thought.
The ending did. Yeah. The thing is, the first thing that pops in my head, and probably most people, when you bring up this movie, is the ending. And yeah, it just all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, we're in the ending. Like this
Yeah.
is like they go for the walk, and I'm like, is this where? And I'm like, oh wait, we're on the cliff. This is it. This is the
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
Did you know about the final scene going in or no?
I knew that that's where we were going to go the second we saw her for the first time on the cliff. I was like, I was waiting for someone to just come running out behind
Wait,
her and push her off.
but were you like Macaulay Culkin's going over that thing or what? Like,
No, I knew the cliff was going to come into play somehow. And and that's one of I didn't like that scene. It felt too much like Tom Cruise and Henry Cavill wrestling in MI7 or MI6.
mhm.
Like it's these two little boys having this really grown up action
Yeah,
scene fight. I was like, that could have gone down differently, I think. But that's what, but, and then it makes sense because it was rushed. That whole thing felt rushed. So it made sense why they would go that route. Um, and then the mom, I knew she
having
would
to
die, but
choose,
yeah,
you know.
that that's, I think where it got rushed a lot, where she's holding him. And I was expecting, I would have liked to have seen something where it's like she's holding both of them, but Kevin's trying to kick or like just blatantly trying to kick Frodo so that he falls. And she's looking at him doing this terrible thing to the nephew. And that's what causes her to let go. Instead,
Yeah.
there's nothing there other than,
Well, he did just try and he pushed her off the cliff
yeah,
and then
he
he
pushed
tried to
her
smash
off.
her head with a rock. Like, I
Right.
mean,
He did all that stuff leading up to it. But
and
while
admitted that he killed his brother. Like,
right. But while she's holding them by the hands, I thought there would be something that helped her decision, like solidified her decision.
yeah,
Because she's literally just sitting there going,
which
which
one? Yeah.
one? And like,
But
see ya.
that's the other thing is like, okay, and I agree with you, like that probably would have made more sense for her to be like, look at him, like, oh fuck, he's
Because a
evil as
mom's
fuck.
gonna do
But
everything she can to
yeah,
save.
instead they go the other way, and he's like, "Mom, please help me,
Yeah.
I'm slipping." Like,
Yeah.
and it's like, which kind of goes with the character is that he's manipulative,
Totally.
like, to the end. But like, it, yeah, it could. I think the other way would have.
Like usually you get Hans Gruber hanging by the thing, and the reason he falls is because he goes to pull out a gun.
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah,
like otherwise, if he had just like played his cards right, he could have, he'd go to jail, he'd pay the consequences, but he'd live.
Not
But
this kid, man.
no, this kid doesn't do anything though. That's what I'm saying. Like it would have been, I think, a little better if he was like, if he had taken for granted and assumed that his mom was going to save him,
Yeah.
and like been like, you're going to save me no matter what. So I'm going to kick Frodo in the face so that he loses his grip and falls. I would have liked to see that, but it was still like, oh, that's fucked up.
And like that they show it. Like, I mean, they don't,
he's like,
they show the
bloody
kid
and
fall
fucked.
and then they show it, they do the shot of him on the rock.
But here's the
like,
thing,
whoa.
man. They show him on the rock, then they cut away, and they cut back, and he's gone.
No, I rewound it too. He's on the rock, and then a wave comes and washes him away. Like, and
but you don't
like
see that happen.
I think it's the same shot, even though you're right. Like, I was like, oh, it's just it almost, if it were a newer movie, I'd be like, that's digital. But like, because he does just disappear.
Right?
Is there a shot in between?
No. So yeah, there's a cutaway where you see him on the rock, bloody. He's dead, apparently, and then it cuts away to her face, like or pulling Frodo up, and then it cuts back and he's gone. So my point is, I felt like they set themselves up for him to come back in a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have loved to have seen it. Yeah, dude, because the opening scene is, I knew that was going to be Frodo standing in the desert looking at the sun.
Yeah.
And so I assumed
like
that was
Skywalker.
I assumed that was like a post incident, post trauma Frodo. Okay. Which it is, because they come back to it at the end and he gives the little real quick exposition of like, we never saw him again, but blah, blah, blah. And we learned the lesson. So like, it would have been cool. They set themselves up for a sequel. I think it just never got made because of the backlash of this movie.
I don't know. I mean, I think this movie made a lot of money. I think it
did. I think it did because of,
I mean, it was riding out Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah,
like Macaulay Culkin he was a major draw as much as like Tom Cruise. Like everybody was going to see him, and he was in fact one. So there's not a lot of bonus stuff for this, but there is a lot of like accounts of shit that happened. But like I watched a good hour-long interview with Elijah Wood where they basically do his entire filmography, like movie by movie. He spends a lot of time on this, and he was like, he talks about the cliff scene. He talks about, they were like, what was it like to work with Macaulay Culkin? And he was like, honestly, man, I was starstruck because he's like, he was the biggest star in the world at that point, and it was wild to be working with him for those first couple of days. He's like, but then like they'd call cut and we'd go play in the woods. Like we were just two regular kids.
That's cool. I'm surprised because I feel like there's, I don't know. I didn't dig on anything, but I assumed
there was like a rivalry, or
no, I assumed that this was, that didn't his parents have a lot to do with him taking this role?
Yeah. So his dad,
so I thought they would have the clamp on him, like, during the shooting.
Well, his dad was kind of a nut,
right?
And kind of like swung his weight around, and they made it like this role, like this. They tried to make this movie 2 other times. They had cast Jesse Bradford.
Who's that?
You'd know him to see him. He's got like black hair. He's a younger actor. He's in Clock Stoppers, I think. But he was cast as Henry, and basically, and that's why I thought it came out before Home Alone 2, but after Home Alone 1, his dad like held that shit over the studio and was like, you're gonna put him in this, and you're gonna put him in this, and you're gonna, like, I'm picking the movies, and you're putting him in them, or he's not doing Home Alone 2, like shit like that. And it was like Macaulay Culkin hosted SNL around this week or around this time. And apparently his dad was a fucking complete nightmare, like the whole week, being like, I got to approve everything. This sucks. This, like, yeah, like his dad was a fucking, like, really difficult to work with. And I want to say wound up being like, I don't know if you remember when he was in the Nutcracker.
No, but
like,
I didn't know that was the thing. I got to go see that. I got to see that.
So the Nutcracker was like, and I remember when all these were coming out, like I was seeing all the Macaulay Culkin movies. He was my age. I was, this kid's the shit.
Yeah.
And it was like I saw My Girl in the theater, I saw this, I saw everything. And then I remember the next big one was the Nutcracker, and it was a musical, and it was like I think it was like live, like not live, but it was like a recording of like a stage play. I could be wrong on that, but it was like a big production of the Nutcracker.
Was it a
And I was
made for
like,
TV movie that was aired live?
no, it was in theaters. It looked
Good.
like a made for TV movie, but they were on ice skates. Like the whole thing, they're on ice skate. I mean,
Wow.
it's wild, but like
Is there
I
another
remember
name in it, like a big adult in it?
I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I mean, but I remember when it came out, I was like, how how is this the next movie? Like
Yeah.
this is stupid and dumb. Like why would this be it? And it was because his dad was like obsessed with the nut. It was like a big deal for whatever kind of theater that is.
Okay.
That was like the big deal thing, and his dad was really into like he has to be in the Nutcracker.
You know what's the Macaulay Culkin role that no one talks about that's amazing is Uncle Buck.
Every I was just talking about that today,
Dude,
but I mean
he's amazing in that.
he's great.
The interview he had when he interviews Uncle Buck at the beginning when they first meet, that scene is phenomenal.
I think that's the movie. I mean, like Home Alone is obviously the movie that like made him, but I think that's the part that everybody was like, "Oh, get that kid in."
That was
Yeah,
right before Home Alone. That movie
yeah.
came out right before Home Alone.
Well, it's John Hughes too. Like
Yeah,
John Hughes was probably
yeah.
like, "Oh, dude, this
We're
is my
doing a
fucking
movie,
kid."
right? Totally.
Like this kid's. I bet they wrote John. Yeah, John Hughes wrote Home Alone, right?
Yeah, wrote and produced it, and Chris
Yeah,
Columbus directed
because
it.
he directed it. I'd be willing to bet he fucking did Uncle Buck and then was like, "I'm writing a movie for this kid right
Totally.
now." You
Absolutely.
know,
Absolutely.
like because
Yeah.
he just you see the behind the scenes stuff and like even new interview, he's just it's like talking to like a full grown adult. Elijah Wood was the same way, by the way. Like
Yeah, he was.
and when they were interviewing him about this, he said this and Back to the Future too. He was like, it was weird, man. He's like, you wouldn't think like when you think about when you were 8, like your memory isn't that clear. But he's like, I remember really well, and I remember it being like I was conscious of I'm making Back to the Future too. I'd seen the first, like like he's like I was really, I knew it was a big deal, and
Yeah.
I understood what was going on.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, they're just old souls. I don't know, but they were.
Was he in Radio Flyer?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
it's him and the kid from Jurassic Park.
Okay. Redhead kid?
Which
Skinny kid?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, Tim. Which have you ever seen radio? You've seen that movie?
Radio Flyer? Yeah, it's been a long time.
Do you remember the ending?
Probably not.
All right. Do you mind if I like? Because I just realized, like a couple of years ago, I was talking about the end of that movie. Spoiler alert for Radio Flyer, because I used to watch that movie a lot.
30, 40 years old.
So what happened? So the whole premise of the movie is because this fucked with me, and I still don't know it. It's wild to me. Okay, let me lay this scenario out for you. We're gonna do Radio Flyer corner for a second. So the premise of the movie is there's these two brothers, and they have a single mom.
Yeah.
Single mom starts dating this guy, and the guy's really cool at first. Then when he drinks, he beats the shit out of the younger kid. That's what happens.
Right.
Okay. And the mom she can't do anything about it and whatever. So it's also a big coming of age story, but the big overarching thing is they have a Radio Flyer wagon and they decide to make it into an airplane. Okay.
So they can fly away, right?
So that, yeah, right. So they can escape. Right.
Right.
And they have this big giant hill in town, like a fucking dead man's hill. And they're like, we can launch it off this hill. And that's the plan, to put the little brother in the thing, launch it off this hill, and you're going to fly. Right.
Right.
Whole movie is building up to them doing that. Okay.
Right.
So at the end of the movie, they're like the stepdad finds out that where they're up on the hill and all this stuff, and it's a big dramatic scene. Are they going to get away with it or are they not? Well, okay, so it goes off and like flies, like the kid makes it, like the kid like flies off, and then the thing like flies, and then like it's getting narrated by adult Elijah Wood, and he talks about like, and then he saw it everywhere in the country, and he sends me postcards and this, and he just whatever. And the person I was talking to pretty recently was like, no, the little brother dies at the end of the movie. I'm like, no, he doesn't. You're crazy. He doesn't die. And he's like, he doesn't actually fly away in the wagon plane. And I was like, yeah, he does. And then he was like, how would that work? I was like, oh yeah, the movie's ultra realistic the whole time. And then at the end, that happens. He's like, yeah, that's a metaphor. That's like he made that up in his head. He's like saying that didn't actually happen. And I was like, no, it did. Like they
I mean,
and then like, but now I have to rewatch Radio Flyer because
he crashes and dies,
which is an insane ending. Like, which is the most insane ending. It's the most insane ending. That like we're working the whole movie to launch this clip.
Right. No, man. I mean,
now it becomes a movie about two kids trying to kill themselves in a wagon. Like,
yeah, dude. It's either the stepdad got him. I like to think that they did launch the wagon. It crashed and they fucking died, man.
But like at that point, now we're dealing with an unreliable narrator. Like, what if like the stepdad was just like, dude, do not drive off a cliff, please. Like, he wasn't even like trying to catch him to beat the shit out of him. He was just like, dude, you can't be flying off a cliff.
That's amazing.
Like, I gotta watch Radio Flyer tonight.
Yeah. Is Tom Hanks in that movie?
No.
Who am I thinking about?
I don't know, man. I've been doing a deep dive of these like early 90s, like coming of age, like boy movies. Like, you ever seen you ever seen Pontiac Moon?
No, never heard of that.
Dude, this was one of my favorite movies as a kid. No one's ever heard of it. It's Ted Danson and his son. And it's like he's like a weird science teacher, like a high school science teacher. And he's like whatever. And it's the day. And they're like, they have this like Pontiac that has a shitload of miles on it. And they become like obsessed. And his whole deal, and it's during the moon landing. And he's like, he figures out that if he drives, like basically there's like a moon crater, like whatever, 2,000 miles away. And he figures out like the math. And he's like, the whole point is like to drive to this moon crater and have the same like he'll have the same mileage it is to the moon on his car. Yeah. And that's the whole point of the movie, is they're trying to do that. But it's a very good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Man Without a Face. Yeah. Oh, dude.
Man Without a Face, Mel Gibson?
It's Mel Gibson, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I remember that one.
Milk Money. Dude, all these, why don't they make these anymore?
I don't know, man. They don't make
they could if they pitched this fucking today, they pitch Radio Flyer, or maybe they make The Good Son, but it would be like, yeah, you got to make him a vampire or something.
Well, with The Good Son, though,
good.
They really wanted to capitalize on the fact that on Macaulay Culkin's brand, which was Home Alone and Uncle Buck and stuff, like, this is the most cute. This is Baby Yoda of the 90s, of the early 90s, late 80s. Like, he's cute. He's just a little kid saying, funny things and whippity snappity. And they wanted to capitalize on the fact of just turning that on their head. Like, they thought everyone would come to see Kevin McCallister murder people. And like, there's nothing like that. There's no kid actor. No one gives a shit about kid actors today, because back then they were charming. Goonies, they were built on that. Monster Squad, like, kids led the charge in like not just wholesomeness, but like cool, wholesome, good movies. That doesn't happen anymore because we don't. And I can honestly say I don't give a shit about seeing a resurgence in that, because we already did it and it was perfect. Like, there's so many movies, like the one you just talked about, Radio Flyer, whatever, Pontiac Moon. There's so many movies that you can go back and watch and see. I don't think it works today because kids are different.
I mean, they still have, like, the Stranger Things kids have charisma.
They do, like, but we have Stranger Things. So
right, but like, I mean, I don't know, like, they're also a little old now, but like,
they are.
I don't know. Like if you would have put like Finn, what's his name? Finn Wolfhard.
right?
If you put him in like a
I
coming
love
of
how you
age
said his
movie
name.
10 years ago, like we
Yeah, I
annoys me.
don't think he works. I think
He's like Keegan Michael Peele now. He's in fucking or what's his name? Keegan Michael Key. Keegan Michael
yeah,
Peele.
yeah, yeah.
He's in fucking everything. Every movie I go see,
Right,
one of those two guys are in it.
right.
It's really
There's no. I mean, the first season of Stranger Things, um, even I don't think any of those kids equal the could have been what Macaulay Culkin became. I haven't seen a
no,
kid.
yeah.
They were banking on, you mentioned Dakota Fanning, Abigail Breslin. Like these were actors that they were banking on that happening, and it never did. And even that was like 15 years ago, that era.
Well, it's so
Nowadays,
weird too. Go ahead.
we're all just too like. I mean, think about it, man. Kids they're annoying and they're
Yeah.
like I'm talking to actors, kid actors, and also the public perception of children has changed. Think about like Short Round and like
The Goonies,
the
like, you know,
Goonies and the Monster Squad and Macaulay Culkin, even Elijah Wood,
Stand By Me,
Stand
like,
By Me, all of those explorers, like all those, and a lot of those became actors, like big actors, but those kids at that time, we couldn't get enough of that energy and that adventure that they brought. Um, that is gone. I feel like that's gone. I don't think that'll ever happen because of the perception of kids in general.
yeah, and like that's the thing is Stranger Things is like I don't know if they're trying to get that vibe or it feels like it feels like a Halloween costume of those fuck, you know what I mean? It feels
Yeah,
like they're playing dress up, even though
sure.
Stranger Things does a good job of
Right.
being authentic, and it's not as bad as other cases, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's weird it isn't there. But the other thing is like especially in this one, he's not playing it. It's a really interesting performance, man, because you would think like if they made it now, it would be like the equivalent of It, right? Like I like Bill Skarsgård, but like like Pennywise in the new one is the annoying thing is that he's like an evil clown, clearly. You know what I mean? He looks evil, he talks evil, and Tim Curry wasn't that. He was you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Like Macaulay Culkin's not playing it, and he's not playing it as like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you could totally buy that the parents don't suspect anything at all.
absolutely.
You know?
And I'm glad you said that because I want it ties in with that scene, the scene where the mom realizes what's going on, where she finds the rubber duck in the shed. That's the first time that his mask slips, so to speak, where like, he says, she's like, look what I found in here. And he's like, um, where'd you get that? They have the conversation and under his breath, but also intentional, he says, it was mine first. And that's
Yeah.
when and like, that's where you see his evilness, but also that he's a kid who's like jealous of his little brother. And he's
Yeah.
still like, he's not in his mind, he's not necessarily evil. He's not conniving, I guess, until yeah, he does conniving things to Elijah Wood as a plot, as his plan, but he's still a kid where he wants his rubber duck that was his. And
Yeah.
and he's
Well,
mad,
yeah. Dude, that scene where he's
It
talking
feels like
to
he
Elijah
deserves it.
Wood. Yeah, but like that, you know what was awesome was like again, it wasn't trying to be scary. It was just like like that scene where he's talking to Elijah Wood and he's like, "You're fucking crazy," and he's like, "Dude, I'm free." He's like, "You'll get there, man." He's like, "Once you realize you can do anything you want, like it's I'm so free. I can do it." And that's like serial killer shit. Like that's
Yeah,
like a real thing. Like I feel like if I sat down with a serial killer and talked to him about like why they do it, they'd say the same thing.
right,
They'd be like, it's not like that I'm like getting off on killing people. It's just like, dude, if you want to kill someone, you can kill someone. Like you
right,
just do it. Like, yeah, like they might catch you, but you can do it.
right.
Like that like it's a mindset. You know what I mean? Like it's
It's a mindset,
wild.
one, absolutely, and part of it is that he doesn't think that there's anything wrong in it because he's servicing himself as
Yeah, exactly.
like as at this point as a kid. He's like, I'm a kid and that's mine and I deserve this and I can do this. And as an adult, he would have been the same state of mind, but had a bunch of heads in the refrigerator, because he was an adult.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, his character in this is such an interesting, like dynamic and sophisticated villain.
Yeah.
That was developed. It's just so, we just talked about Scream for so long, and it was like it's filled with all these characters that could be villains. And at the end of the movie, we got three of them. There were three villains. There were more. There were two in the beginning.
Yeah. But not
one of them had the characterization of Macaulay Culkin in this movie that we got from Macaulay Culkin in the first scene that he's in. It was established what he was, and they did a good job of it. It blows my mind, man. It's really, really good, a really good character. It's a shame. I guess is a good point to bring in the Siskel Ebert thing that we watched. So they did it on one of their shows with a bunch of other movies, and I'll post that. I'll put that in the Patreon. But both those guys were really upset that this movie was even made, and it's because of the Home Alone stigma of Kevin McCallister and that Macaulay Culkin had at the time. Using that brand in a movie like this, I get why they were so upset, but it's also genius.
It would have been like, well, I don't think it was the studio's idea. I think it was full on like Macaulay Culkin's dad. But I think it would have been like if like they did High School Musical. It's the biggest thing in the world, and then the next movie, Zac Efron plays like Ted Bundy. You know what I mean? Like, which he eventually did. But you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know anything about High School Musical, but
High School Musical, it was a big deal, right?
Yeah, but I still don't know what it is. But regardless, I see your point. But even still,
literally a High School Musical. Like it's a musical. It's awful.
Right.
But it's not.
Even still, though, even more so with Macaulay Culkin, because Macaulay Culkin, there will never be another thing that he was. You know what I'm saying? Like, his ties to Michael Jackson.
What? Like, well, yeah. I mean, I was thinking like, well, maybe, but like, they would be annoying to like adult. Like everybody.
The perception.
You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
what I'm saying about the
perception. He was a regular movie star,
right?
At like 8 years old,
right?
But
also maintained that kid, that charming, cute kid quality because of who he was. I've seen him interviewed as a kid, and he was like having fun.
He was sharp, man. Like
he was sharp when he was making this stuff. But
it's so crazy how fast he fell off the map too. Like I remember I saw Richie Rich in theaters, and that was the one where I was like, ooh, this, like, it was one of the first movies I saw in theater where I was like, this sucks. This is not good. Like, this is not up to the quality I've come to expect, and it was like, and it was pretty much right after that. Like I think he did Getting Even with Dad. Another Ted Danson movie.
Yeah, I gotta check that out.
He did.
I haven't seen a lot of this stuff.
What else did he do? That I actually have. I have this pulled up.
What do you remember? What Michael Jackson video it is that he's in?
What song?
Yeah. Am I remembering that right? He's in a video where it's like on the street in the neighborhood, and he has a cameo in.
Yeah,
it was when they were like best friends, and he was sitting on his lap a lot.
He's got nothing good about. He's like, listen, man, I don't know what he did. Like, he's been asked about him a bunch.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Hang on. Actor.
I think I don't know. There was like a handful. I guess it was. I remember seeing Home Alone in the theaters. There was a handful of movies afterwards.
Me too.
That I missed. It was for Joe's birthday. We saw Home Alone in the theater, and dude, on the ride home, it was a bunch of kids. My mom took us all to see it, and I was, what was it, 1990? So I was 14 years old. My brother was 10, so it must have been his 10th birthday. We're sitting in the theater with a bunch of kids, my brother's friends, and then we go to take them home. and this one kid, Case, I won't say his name. His name was Casey. I won't say his last name, but he farted in the car, and Joe got so upset that this kid farted in the car because it was so bad. Everybody was like, "Oh, that's crazy! It's like mutant farts." And Joe screams out in the car while this kid is being like shunned for farting in the car. Joe screams out, "You ruined my birthday!"
Probably traumatized that kid.
Dude, ask him about it next time you see him. It was amazing.
Remind me, yeah. I'll be like, I heard some kid farted and ruined your birthday, man. It sucks.
Coming home from Home Alone. Oh my god.
He's in black or white, by the way.
Black or
which
white.
makes sense why I didn't remember, because like that's the time when
It's
like
black. Oh, why?
remember Michael Jackson videos were like 10 minutes long because they would always have a big intro, and
yeah,
like that would get cut out when they would replay the video most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, dude, this is wild. It was Home Alone. I mean, obviously it was Uncle Buck.
Yeah.
He's in Only the Lonely. Another good John Candy movie. My Girl, Home Alone 2, then The Good Son, then The Nutcracker the same year.
Yeah.
Getting Even with Dad, The Page Master. That's an underrated movie.
Is it? I've never seen it.
Oh, it's fucking awesome. It's animated.
Okay.
But he's the main I mean, it's half animated.
Like a voice? Is he a voice or something?
He's a voice, but it's bookends. So like the beginning, it's live action.
Okay.
The beginning and end are in live action.
Okay.
And like the big chunk of the movie is animated.
Okay.
But he does a voice, and then Richie Rich, and then he doesn't do anything until Party Monster,
which wasn't even really like nothing.
Yeah, that's 2003.
Weird. Okay, 2003.
And then Saved, and then that's it, really.
Yeah.
That's it. And then everything else is, I mean, he made so much money. He talked about that on Joe Rogan, that like he made so much money for those like whatever 6 years he was like active,
right?
That now he just.
But didn't his dad take a bunch of it or spend a bunch of it or something?
Yeah, but I think there was so much, and I think I want to say, I don't know the details. I think he wound up suing his dad.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Something like that happened. But either way, him and Rogan talked about it. He's like, so what do you do now? He's like, I do whatever I want.
Yeah.
He's like, honestly, I mean,
he's got that stupid ass band called like Cheese Gas or something like that.
Yeah, he had a podcast that he doesn't do anymore. That it was just he goes on Red Letter Media. Like he just I mean, he just basically was like, he made so much money for those, like whatever. He's like, I don't ever have to work again. Wow. I just live in Paris and smoke pot and do things when I want to do them, and that's it.
It's interesting. Yeah. I wish that he had a few more aspirations to come back and do something like not serious, but make a serious go at making another movie or something. Even if it was a Home Alone, come back and you're I don't know, you're the dad now or something.
I hate that. But he is in so like 2 years ago, I want to say, Seth Green wrote and directed a movie.
Motherfucker. No, I'm good with Seth Green now. That's right.
Wrote, directed, and starred in a movie. Kind of about getting divorced and just like basically going on his honeymoon by himself. Or I think he brings like his best friend with him. I watched it, wasn't bad. I forget what it was called. But Macaulay Culkin's in that, and he's really good.
Yeah,
he's really, really good. He plays
you
like
remember the name of it?
It's I mean I think it's Changeland. It's I've got it pulled up right here. Yeah, it's called Changeland. It's a good movie, and he plays like this. He basically plays a drifter. That's like, nah, man, I want to live in Thailand on a boat, so that's what I do. And if I want to live in Bangladesh, I'll do that.
Cool, Bangladesh.
Yeah, it's a very, very cool part. But yeah,
cool.
Oh, that was the other thing I was gonna say about that fucking. So this is another movie where a younger Culkin plays. Oh no, I was gonna say, yeah, that plays a younger whatever. But like, because you ever seen the movie AB Goes Down?
No, but I know what it is, and it's curious.
Yeah, it's Kieran, but like what's cool about it is Rory's in it. So there's a lot of flashbacks in that movie to like
Okay.
when he was younger, and they get Rory to play him because they all look the same.
Right.
Like it's what like his sister in this,
Yeah.
it looks like they're doing the Michael J. Fox Back to the Future 2 thing.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
looks like it's just Macaulay Culkin in a wig.
Right. Totally. Yeah, it's hilarious.
You
Um,
know,
the only other two scenes that I had that I of note were I mean, one, the treehouse, that was a great what kind of parent
I
lets
thought about that too.
builds a
Well, who
treehouse
built
that's like
that? Yeah,
7 floors up a tree? That was insane.
yeah.
Absolutely insane. And then when they're testing out the gun on the cat and they shoot it and it just like sticks in the tree, misses the cat, and the cat just sits there. I thought that was the most comedic scene in the movie. It was hilarious. The cat just sitting there, especially
I'll
owning a
bet
cat.
that's what really happened. I'll bet because I mean,
You think they
you know,
really
they ended up,
shot that bolt into a tree while the cat was there?
yeah, and I'll bet it just didn't move.
Just
And
didn't
they were
move.
like, fuck it, let's just use it.
It was
They,
hilarious because the bolt just appears right there.
yeah. I mean,
Uh,
maybe it could have been, you know, like a camera trick, but
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh, I don't know. What you got anything else on the movie?
did fuck with you when he killed the dog? Usually that
Oh
you
yeah.
hate.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I forgot. Yeah. About like as soon as the dog appears, I'm like, the dog is gonna die. Like
I
with a
got to tell you,
character
it's
like this,
yeah.
it's inevitable.
What
Um,
one of the lines that like took me right back to being like, oh yeah, I love this movie is when the first time you see the dog and it like attacks him and chases him and like it's and then he starts barking at it and
yeah.
then
Great.
Elijah Wood's like, what the fuck, dude? And he goes,
I
I
love that.
love that dog. It's just like,
I knew he was gonna kill it as soon as he said
oh
that.
yeah.
That's a
But like he
great.
kills it in the next scene.
I
And
know.
it's just like, but and the fact that he kills it is like enhanced by that he's like, I love that dog.
Right.
Like, but
Psycho.
it's just like, dude, what a psycho that he's just
Right.
like he enjoys the like
Right.
fucking with it, and it's
That was a great scene, him barking at the dog in the dog's face. That was because that was really him and really the dog. And yeah.
yeah,
Just a real cool, another, that's the best word to say. It's like a real cool character moment for him to
yeah,
do that.
yeah. Elijah Wood, yeah.
I bet he had a blast and also like terrified, like
I'd
doing,
love to see him get interviewed about. I've seen Elijah Wood answer a bunch of like Elijah Wood talked about the cliff scene about
yeah,
how they shot it and shit, but like I would love to see or Macaulay Culkin
yeah,
was it weird for you to do this movie or
right.
like
I know how they shot it. There's this when the mom falls. Did you see the cable holding her?
yeah.
It's pretty blatant.
Elijah Wood was like, dude, it was fucking scary. He's like, because
Yeah,
he's like, we were really hanging off that cliff. He's like, yeah, there was a stunt. We had harnesses and there was a stunt guy underneath us. But like when we slip, it's because we're on a rope and they're just letting go of the rope. Like we're
Jesus,
actually falling.
that's
There's just a
crazy.
guy holding the rope. He's
I'm
like, it was
surprised they
fucking
could do that with kids.
yeah. Yeah, he talked about that quite a bit. Yeah, Elijah Wood's the man. It seems like he will answer like any question.
Yeah. All right, man. That was I'm glad I got to see it finally. I can't believe I had never seen that movie.
It was a good one.
Yeah, it was a good pick. All right, so I got letter H and I'm torn between two. I'll let you be the tiebreaker, but the one I was really leaning towards was Halloween Ends. No, I'm kidding. So there's two movies. I don't know. You probably haven't seen either of them. You're gonna you're gonna hate them. You're not gonna hate them, but one is Hell Night, 1981. It's got Linda Blair in it. It's I'm familiar with it. I'm vaguely familiar with it. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but never the whole thing.
Is
The
it
other one,
night? Oh, never mind.
Hell Night, 1981.
Yeah. Okay.
The other one is Happy Birthday to Me, which if you look at the VHS cover, I think you'll absolutely recognize it. It's like a skewer going into a guy's open mouth. I'm leaning towards Happy Birthday to Me because I've never seen that at all. Another word. They're both 1981, which is crazy. You have a preference based on the pictures,
Jesus, what a box cover.
right? I remember seeing that as a kid and being like, "Oh, snap."
It's covered in taglines. The poster. It's John will never eat shish kebab again, and then it's one of those weird tags. where it's a fucking paragraph, like the synopsis of the movie. Who's killing Crawford High's snobbish top 10? At the rate they're going, there will be no one left for Virginia's birthday party alive. And this is happy birthday to me. 6 of the most bizarre murders you will ever see.
All right, let's do that. Happy birthday.
Yeah, let's. All right. This might be an anthology.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I mean, nobody's in it.
Yeah.
But
yeah. All right. So for H next week, episode 72, we'll do Happy Birthday to Me.
Same director as Conquest for the Planet of the Apes.
Ooh, nice. Is that Julian Frizzle, I think?
What?
All right. Are you satisfied?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Sure. All right, cool. Yeah. That was good. That was good to talk about Macaulay Culkin. All right, man. If you guys want to, thanks for listening, first of all. And if you want to support the show, tell everybody about it. It's a good podcast. Share it. But if you want to support directly, check out patreon.com/deathbypodcast, where you will find our bonus mini podcast, BoobTube TV, where we talk about the TV horror. This week, we watched 1988's Werewolf. Awesome TV show. And it was awesome to talk about it. Rick Baker werewolf suit. It was so cool. So we do that. We got sticker packs. We got all kinds of things. You can support the show. Patreon.com/deathbytoys. I mean, Death by Podcast. That's us. Other than that, thanks for putting up with my allergies, folks. I've been sniffling all. But it was a good show. Macaulay Culkin, if you're listening, friend of the show, drop us a line. I am your host, Adam. That's your other host,
Kevin.
It's Miller time. Kevin, what you got?
Shut the fuck up.
That was like 3D. All right, folks, be the good son. Let's all live up to Macaulay Culkin, and don't crash your wagon either. Don't fly that off the cliff. That's gonna be a mess. We'll see you next week.